Hello.
We're just gonna give everyone a couple of minutes to come join us on this live. But in the meantime, we can introduce ourselves.
Sure.
So, hello, my name is Eva. This is Anya, and together we run an online dog school called Chasing the Tail. The purpose of Chasing the Tail is to guide owners and help owners guide their dogs through their life in a way that sets their dogs up for success and shapes them into confident adults. And this is partly what we will be focusing on today. But before we get into things, I would like to urge everyone to write where they're from in the comments. We did this in the other two lives that we did with Yana and Beata this week. And if you'd like to watch those, you can still see them on the Dogs for Motion Facebook page. But yeah, we absolutely loved seeing where everyone's from. There was many people from the US, from Europe, and even some from Australia and New Zealand, which is crazy to me because if I'm not mistaken, it's around 6 a.m. On, is it the east coast of Australia, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Anyways, it's very early in the morning for them. So I absolutely loved getting to know everyone like this. So please comment where you're from. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add?
Maybe just that Chasing the Tail also has courses on Dogs for Motion Academy, just because it's not the same instructor.
Which we will get to at the end of this live, so as to not sell you our courses right at the start.
But yeah, but just so you know how we are connected. And we led the two lives before this week with Yana and Beata, because we never introduced ourselves. So this is us.
There will be a Q&A section at the end of our discussion today here as well, so make sure you stick around. We'll be discussing our topic for about an hour, and then we'll get into the Q&A section afterwards. So if anything comes up, please feel free to write it in the comment section below, and we'll make our way back to it at the end.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
In the Q&A section. So
yeah.
We enjoy a proactive approach. So whatever comes up, please comment it below and we'll discuss it at the end.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So our topic today is how shaping your puppy's view of the world and nurturing the right mindset will help them make better choices as adults. This is the topic we've chose because we felt like it's a very important one and because we do have a lot of experience with it and with raising puppies.
And how management, I feel like, is oftentimes overlooked.
Yeah.
And the importance and the effects of management are very wide and important. So yeah. I feel very passionate about this topic.
Very close to our hearts.
Yeah, for sure. But before we get into our argument or our discussion for today, we would just like to preface this by saying a little word or two on the nature versus nurture argument. And I would just like to mention the effect that genetics also plays when raising a puppy and generally when it comes to the character of dogs. And my point being here is I would like to tell everyone not to blame themselves for the way that their dog is or for certain behaviors that their dog might be displaying, but to stay proactive. So what I mean by this is oftentimes we can't help but feel responsible for certain behaviors that our puppies or dogs might be showing. And I feel like it's so easy to kind of fall into the cycle of blaming yourself.
Yeah. And even if those behaviors aren't there yet, but maybe you start to see them in your puppy. So don't blame yourself for those behaviors. But
because more often than not, it's not your fault. I think we undermine the importance of the genetic predispositions that dogs have. So yes, but that being said,
stay proactive and accept 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 your dog for who they are, but don't give up on them. Like, don't give up on the fact that they are like this and they show these behaviors and this is just who they are and this is what it is. Be proactive. Try to work on that. Try to work on those behaviors. But yeah, at the same time, don't blame yourself for those behaviors.
I saw a really good metaphor online that I really liked, and I thought that put all of this into perspective for me. And it said that dogs are like clocks. You get a certain type of clock when you to start out with, but what you can do is turn the dial. So, for example, if you get an alarm clock, it's been pre-programmed by its genetics to sound the alarm. But what you can do is turn the dial and regulate, for example, when the alarm goes off or how often it goes off. So it's not your fault that you got an alarm clock as opposed to a pocket watch, for example. But it is your responsibility to ensure that your alarm clock doesn't sound the alarm every 30 seconds of the day. So yeah, I think I think this
and that was a great analogy. Yeah,
this is how I would summarize it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we will not be focusing on the whole nature argument of today's life, but we will be talking about the importance of the nurture side of things, and how management plays a part in this. So, Anya, do you want to talk everyone or explain to everyone how we view management?
Yeah.
And what management is like in our minds.
So for us, first I will say that so many times when we speak to people about management, I feel like a lot of times it just comes to their mind like, yeah, but the crates and the pens and the long lines and all those tools for helping my dog. But as Chasing the Tail, we view management as shaping your dog's view of the world. So how they perceive the world, how can you present the world to them, and how you can control the environment for them to have them learn the good things, to have them make the right choices as well. So management for us is not restricting and controlling your dog, but it's rather managing the environment for them to be successful.
So in your opinion, you've worked a lot with people and helped them train their dogs. When it comes to the topic of management, is there a certain kind of emotion you've seen surrounding the whole idea of management, or how do people normally perceive it as?
Yeah, I feel like with management, when you mention it to people, the first argument would be, I don't see how management can solve my problems. Like, I don't want to have my dog on leash all life, or I don't want to have my puppy in crate all life just to prevent them from chewing on my furniture, for example. And I feel like that's really management is not forever. It's a tool for a certain period of time, but it's definitely not for life. And I feel like this is the biggest fear that people have with management.
I feel like what you mentioned was also kind of my emotions towards management when it was first introduced to me. It seemed kind of as a method of avoiding the actual problem and a mode. It felt to me like people were telling me to restrict my dog in absolutely every aspect of their lives. But I've really come to understand it in a slightly different light. So if you'll allow me, I'll present you a little drawing with as to how I view management and how I've really come to understand it over the course of raising a number of different puppies. So this is how I see the role of management. For me, when you first get a puppy, you get a puppy with a set range of desires, wishes, needs, and fears. And this is the base that you're working with. This is the kind of nature aspect of the dog you've gotten. you've got your puppy with a predisposed set of beliefs per se, and it is your responsibility as a trainer and owner to manage and present the world to your puppy in a productive way. So your puppy comes into your home with a set of needs, desires, fears, but what they don't know yet is how the world around them functions, and this is what your responsibility is as an owner and as a trainer. So for me, the role of management is really managing the environment around your dog in a way that helps them build confidence and make the right decisions. So for me, management is really about guiding my dog through the early stages of life, through the world in a way that allows them to learn the correct behaviors and also practice the right emotions.
Right. So, for example, if you want to set your puppy up for success, and just ensure they're like growing up into a confident adult, and from all of those things you've mentioned that puppies are born with, if you have a puppy like with a strong fear, what would be your way to guide them? Like just in short, like a short example, when you have a fearful puppy and how much you can influence it, what would you do to make sure that your puppy is not continuing to grow into an even more fearful puppy with the experience they get?
Right. I think this is a great point that you've just made, is that, which I forgot to mention, is that also the environment and the world around our puppies also impacts their desires and their fears and their needs. So it's a kind of two-way conversation between our puppy and their needs and desires and fears and the world around them. So this is why, for me, it's so important to kind of manage the world around them, because, like you said, if you have a fearful puppy, this is a puppy which already has some doubt within them about, be it about people, about the environment, could be about cars, other animals, whatever it be. For me, it would be incredibly important to manage the world around my puppy in a way that allows them to build confidence around their fears and not drown in their fears, for example. So we'll actually delve more into this further on in our presentation, but this is just a little taste.
I like the summary of it. Yeah.
So to kind of round everything up, for me, management is really about shaping my dog's view of the world and not so much about restricting and controlling them.
Right. Yeah.
So this brings us on to our next point. Do you want to go into it?
Yeah. So what your dog practices becomes their default. Like we've mentioned, we can influence that, but how can we influence it? So management comes with ability to predict what's going to happen. And I felt like it's very important to think ahead and to be ahead of your dog. Like if I just connect it back to your example, if you have a fearful puppy, like you got this puppy and it is a fearful one, then try to predict how in everyday life you can manage the world around them to not encourage that fear, to not put them in situations where they can just build on that fear. If I'm not mistaken, you have also a good example for this.
Yes. So to your point, I think it's when it comes to management, I think it's not only about restricting the environment, but it's also what you just said, is being that step or two or three ahead of them. I feel like management is the most powerful when you can be 2 or 3 steps ahead of your dog.
So not when it's already happening.
Yeah. And yeah, management can also be as a tool that can help you retrain your dog, but this is not something we'll be focusing on today. Today we'll be focusing about management when it comes to raising puppies and stuff.
Preventative.
Yeah, preventative. And I do have a great example of this. And it's also a great example that shows you that management is not just about the tools and stuff, that we use, like long lines and crates and stuff like this, but can just be about, it is about kind of shaping the environment. So when my current dog was a few months old, at some point he decided that going into the car might not be that much fun, because sometimes when we got into the car we would drive a couple of hours to go for a training or something, and very likely he felt bored in the car. And when I would come up to the car with him, he would stop midway and be like, nope, I'm not going. This is not happening. You're not telling me to go in the car. I'm not jumping in. And I saw this start to happen, and just thought to myself, as long as my dog doesn't practice this behavior will very likely go away, because whenever we get into the car, eventually we drive somewhere fun. We drive somewhere to where he enjoys it.
If it was never something negative that caused him to be like, nope.
Yeah. So it's when I'm driving somewhere that doesn't involve my dog's not in the car with me, and I don't force him to go into the car. So we would normally drive to a training, for example, in Italy. We would drive a couple of hours. So I knew that my dog would eventually learn that going into the car means we're going for some kind of adventure that he would love. So what I did was simply not let him be in a situation where he got the chance to decide whether or not he wanted to go in the car.
Yeah.
So I would open the front door, pick him up, take him into the car. And you know how long I had to do this for? Probably a week. Maximum a week or two.
And he forgot that he doesn't want to go.
And he forgot that he doesn't want to go at all. And every time I would put him in the car, I'd give him like a couple of treats. Cool. And we drove somewhere fun. That was it. And I feel like this is a perfect example of, I didn't use any tools. I just managed the environment, because if he were to be practicing this hesitancy to go into the car, I feel like it could very easily
become a behavior.
Become a behavior, and it would be like a point of disagreement between the two of us.
Yeah.
Which,
it's such a small thing.
Yeah, and I feel like it is just such a great example of how easily conflict can also be avoided.
Yeah.
Sure. Now we don't have any problems at all. He loves to go into the car.
It's just one of those puppy moments as well.
Yeah.
So, and that just speaks for, try to think ahead of your dog, and try to manage the environment in a way that allows them to practice appropriate behaviors.
Yeah. Because your dogs, they will act out on their needs, their fears and desires. So it's your job to kind of shape the world around them to enable them to make the right decisions. So now that we've kind of explained how we view management, we're going to give you a couple of practical examples of where management comes in really handy. And we'll do that throughout this presentation, starting off with how management can be useful for managing mischief in puppies. And then we're going to also cover impulsivity in adolescent dogs, how management can help you build value for you and for teamwork, and how management can come in incredibly handy for creating safety for shy dogs.
I love that one. Yeah,
me
both of them are great. So with each of them, we'll give you some examples just so you can kind of picture it. And there we go. Right. So the first one is limiting impulsivity and managing mischief. So management is great for showing your puppy how they can cope with their emotions in ways that we owners like. So we'll start with puppies, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to mischief, puppies love getting into mischief. And I think this is where I really value management, because it's great for keeping my puppy out of mischief and help them regulate their emotions. What do we mean by this? For example, I feel like a classic example would be chewing on shoes and furniture.
Yeah. Any puppy owner can relate.
I feel like, this is when I speak of needs, this is one of the most basic needs that almost every puppy has. When it comes to teething, your puppy will have a natural need to chew on things, to also get to know the world around them through their mouth.
Yeah, sure.
So, would you mind telling us a bit about how management can come in handy when it comes to this need of chewing on things?
Right. So
And shoes in particular.
yeah, like yeah, puppies chew on shoes, and it's like the need that we can't really avoid. It's there, and it's supposed to be met. So if they don't get anything else to chew on, and if they have a choice, they might find just things lying around your apartment. And shoes are quite popular because they're quite fun, I think, with the laces and stuff. So the way
soft.
oh, they're soft, and they have like different materials on
Yeah.
it. So there's so many different choices, like
Boots, flip-flops.
whatever you want. So one of the ways we can manage that is like there's actually two good ways. One, put the shoes away, simply don't leave them out. And the second option, manage the space your puppy has available. So either you put them into like a puppy pen, or you put them like in a separate room with, of course, protected like electricity and the things that you feel like your puppy could get into. So just so they can't really reach the things that you don't want them to start chewing on. And again, the need is still there, has to be met. So present your puppy with something that they're allowed to chew on, like a dog toy or a chew, like a pig ear, or like dry chews are great for puppies. Very likely, or most likely, your puppy will, by the time they grow up, they will forget about the shoes because they never practiced chewing on shoes. But their need was met because you ensured that they have something to chew on.
Yeah, or it could be anything else besides shoes as well. I just feel like shoes are a popular
Yeah,
option.
they are popular.
I know you said you had I feel like a funny experience with your very first dog, Luna, where she went into the bathroom. Right?
Oh, she loved those. I don't know what they're called, like toilet.
Like a scrub, you know, the scrub that you use to clean the toilet.
Yeah, and
like a toilet. What is it called? Actually,
I don't know. The thing that you scrub your toilet with. So the thing is that so back then that was like, it was 17, 18 years ago, so a long time ago, and I was 11 or like 10. And I remember my mom going into IKEA and getting like multiple of those because they would get destroyed. Like one per week was like a minimum. And then again, and also we would go and we would buy all the pillows. Like we would stock up on pillows because she would destroy pillows. Like all the fluff was fun.
Yeah.
And my plush toys, the eyes of the plush toys. So, and it was like, now looking back, it's so easy to prevent that.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's so easy to get frustrated with your puppy when they destroy something. I can definitely relate. Whereas it's so easy to prevent it. Just close the bathroom door. Or close the bathroom door and buy some dog toys. You know, it was the same with my first dog. My first dog, she would destroy curtains. She would even chew through walls and stuff like that, which is it's just crazy to me. This didn't happen with my second dog because I limited his environment and put a lot of dog toys and chews in there that he could have fun with and meet this need for chewing.
Yeah.
Maybe one more thing that I feel like is good to point out is, do you feel like this need for chewing on things stays throughout the dog's life, or is it just something that we kind of have to work with in puppyhood?
It's very much in puppyhood, because when they are teething, they have this need, and also they're exploring the world through mouthing and biting and putting everything in their mouth, like similar to babies. Also everything in their mouth. And once they grow up, they will not have that need to.
Right.
Some dogs are more mouthy, but that doesn't mean they will be looking for stuff to destroy around the house. And if that's the case, then we're dealing with a more serious problem, just puppyhood teething need for chewing. Yeah.
So you would say this is something that generally you would just have to keep an eye on during puppyhood.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like also in my experience with raising a puppy, multiple puppies actually, is that more often than not, you would need to be more vigilant and more on top of your things.
Yeah.
when they're young. When your
puppies are creative.
Yeah.
They can think of things you will never think of.
Yeah.
So management is not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah. Being 2 or 3 steps ahead of them is not always so easy.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we do have another example of a common problem, common problem.
It is a common problem. I think, yeah.
In puppyhood that's more common, I would say, in working breeds like we have, and we deal with it quite often.
Yeah.
Which is the boundless energy or inability to settle. Would you mind going into it?
Yeah. So for whatever reason your puppy doesn't settle, because obviously there's also quite a couple of reasons why your puppy cannot settle. And if your puppy still can't settle after all their needs are met, then we can again help them with managing the space, because pacing around the apartment and having difficulty to regulate emotions can really have them really spiral. So it's very important to limit their environment, to limit their space, to give them like a little piece of like a little place where that it feels really comfortable and calm, and where they can really relax and self-regulate and calm down as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is where tools like the crate or a puppy pen come in really handy, because it limits your puppy's access to different stimuli.
Yeah. And options
and helps their nervous system calm down. For example, both of my dogs, they had difficulties settling down, and I feel like they can spiral so quickly when they can fall into chronic exhaustions really quickly, which can negatively impact their mood throughout time as well. So I feel like it's so important. For me, management also allows me to meet my puppy's needs, not only keeping them out of mischief, because obviously if your dog is not able to settle, they will try to find something that eases their state of mind. But also to help them meet this need that is to rest. So this is when, for me, crates and puppy pens come in really handy. And obviously I would first
meet the needs.
Take my dog out for a walk, do some training or something that's mentally stimulating as well, before asking them to now settle down and feed them and give them water and stuff like this as well. But I would make sure that they're comfortable with the crate as well before I would use it as a
so don't just
as a tool. Don't just shove them in there.
That's not the idea.
But this is another kind of great example.
I love the two examples. I think they're great.
That helps your dog's mental health as well. Next, we have management for adolescent dogs as well. I think when it comes to adolescent dogs, it's just like with adolescent humans, adolescent dogs can sometimes be really cheeky. And start to explore the world in a slightly different sense to the way
and their options as well. They start to explore their options
for themselves
and questioning your rules.
Questioning the kind of world that you've set up for them. So this, I feel like, is another stage of life in our dog's life where management is also really, really important, because with adolescence comes reduced responsiveness also to the owner's cues and what you're doing as an owner in your dog's life in general. They kind of start to listen to themselves and their desires more than what you might be doing. So we have a couple examples.
So I think one of the most common examples is the owners going, like, it was like 2 days ago he was still listening, and today like absolutely no clue what recall is. And that's very typical, I think, for teenage dogs. And I think this is a great period. If you've not used or taken management seriously before, I think this is the time, because I think one of the most important things you have to do is start preventing your dog from self-rewarding and running away from the things that you're asking from them. And I have in mind one of the most important things in your dog's vocabulary. Come here, like recall. So if your dog all of a sudden doesn't really want to come back through recall and finds a lot of other things in the environment much more rewarding than you calling, then I think long line would be your best friend, just to keep them safe, and to prevent them from self-rewarding.
Yeah, we also, another example that tends to come up in the teenage months, is also dogs deciding they don't want to go into the house, not wanting to jump into the car, like the example I said for Ponyo before.
Not want to come when you turn around to leave the walk, or
Yeah.
like go back to the
Not
car.
wanting to leave their walk anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's like things like this, where again I feel management comes in really handy.
Yeah.
Like tools like the long line and stuff.
And
like
it's so
this.
easy, but it's so powerful. I think if they don't practice not listening,
Yeah, because
it's very easy.
so quickly a dog can a dog learn that you can continue calling me, and if I just pretend that I don't hear you and continue running in my direction, you probably won't be able to catch me anyway, so
Yeah, right.
I can just do whatever I want.
And I feel like adolescents.
Psych, if you have a long line, I can catch you.
I think adolescence comes with a lot of options for frustration and conflict.
Yeah.
So I feel like management really avoids that,
Conflict,
and
yeah.
also has you. I feel like it gives you the sense of having the control. Even when you think maybe my teenage dog will not really listen, but I have a long line, which is my safety net, or or any other kind of management. But I feel like it still gives you this safety.
Yeah, and I would just like to add this, that it's not so much about having control over your dog, but feeling in control of the situation.
Yeah.
So this kind of, to sum it up, I feel like management is super great for limiting this kind of increased impulsivity that we see in adolescent dogs.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to being more independent with their decisions, adolescent dogs tend to have more value in the environment as well, which is another area that I feel management comes in super handy and is super important, which is building value for me and for our teamwork with me and my dog.
Yeah.
For me, what's most important when it comes to building value for myself is that I need my dog to find me more valuable over the environment so that I can trust them. And management really helps me with this, because if I were able to have a dog who I knew would make all the correct choices, I would let them roam the world freely. But the truth is, I can't trust my dog to make all of the correct choices and not put themselves into danger. For example, I can't trust my dog to not eat that piece of trash or that piece of meat on the floor, because who knows, it might be poisoned. I can't trust my dog not to go up to a stranger, because who knows, maybe they have the intention of stealing them. Or what's another example?
Or to like I often think of my friendly puppy wanting to go across the field to meet a dog, and I if I don't know the dog, then this might be a big problem for my friendly puppy if that dog doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah, because you could run into a dog that doesn't like other dogs, or that doesn't have the right communication skills. And for my puppy, I find it really important that they learn the right communication skills, and I can't quite trust them to make the right decision yet in that aspect as well. So for me, management really helps build value for our teamwork, so I can, over time, give my dog more freedom. Because if my dog finds me more valuable than that piece of meat that's poisoned on the ground, I can trust to have them off leash, because I know that they'll listen to me when I tell them to leave it for their own good, for their benefit. And I can trust them that they know that if they leave that piece of trash or meat on the floor and come to me, that they'll get something more rewarding from me, either be it play or food or something that your dog likes more. This is just really why I love that my dog finds me and our teamwork the most valuable, because also when I go for a walk with my dog, I can trust to let them off leash when there's other dogs running around and playing, because I can trust them to come when I call them, or I can trust to let my dog off leash even if I suspect that there might be wild rabbits running around the field, because I can trust that if they see a wild rabbit or something running, that they will listen to my recall.
And I love this because we can go back to the point that we made a couple of slides back about how management is not forever.
Yeah.
But it is a tool that management generally as a tool that you use on the way to giving your dog more freedom. So a lot of times when people say, yeah, but like I don't want to really have that. I want my dog to be free and, to have options and to do whatever they want and free spirit and stuff. I feel like management leads to better choices, which leads to more freedom. And I think that's a very strong point, I feel like. And I love to be able to trust my dogs, and I love to be able to give them a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
But that freedom has to be worked on.
Yeah.
Because just like you've mentioned before, just giving your dog all the options and hoping that they will do the right decision does not always turn out right.
Yeah. So I think this is why I love management also, because it helps me build value for me.
Yeah.
So I can in turn trust my dog. And it's also an investment that I know I will make in the first couple of years.
Right.
That then leads me to being able to trust my dog once they're adults.
Yeah, and it's very rewarding if you put the work into it.
Yeah.
Okay, our fourth point for the use of management is management for shy and insecure dogs. And the question for this one is, how can I help my shy dog or fearful dog build confidence through or with use of management? I think we've mentioned it in the beginning already. If you have a fearful dog, then you really want to shape the world for them in a way where they can build confidence and not
get caught up in their fears.
Yeah, or like just get more fearful through experiences.
Reaffirm their fears.
Yeah. So if, for example, I will give one example that I feel is really again not management in sense of using tools, but management in sense of thinking ahead and being in ahead of your dog and thinking for what's good for them based on who they are and what you see in them. So if you have a fearful puppy and you have a family dinner to go to where there will be like 10 to 20 people and you're considering taking your puppy, I feel like not taking them is a better option, because when you have 10 to 20 people in a room, you cannot control how they act around your puppy. You cannot ensure that your puppy gets their personal space, and it might actually get them even more fearful and would confirm their doubts around people. So, for example, this would not be setting them up for success and ensuring that they feel confident and secure in the environment that you put them in. To
that point, I can add a really great personal example, which is with my current dog Ponyo. He was wary around people. And last Christmas, when I went to our family dinner, where it was my grandma, my aunt, and all of their children, and my parents and my brother and everyone, but obviously my family, Ponyo, knew, but it was the whole family gathered together, I decided to leave him in the car. And obviously, when you have a new puppy, everyone wants to come say hi, everyone wants to see them, but sometimes for a shy dog, it's better to manage these situations and take it with their pace. So at this point during Christmas, Ponyo was about half a year old, and I was starting to be able to trust him to find his way around. I will also mention this, that his fear was not severe, which obviously take the dog you have in front of you and listen to their needs. But with Ponyo, I left him in the car, and I did end up taking him out. But before I did so, I gathered all my cousins and I gathered my grandma and everyone. I was like, please, for the first 5 to 10 minutes, ignore him. ignore him, don't look at him, don't talk to him. If he will feel comfortable, he will come up to you himself. And I brought him in, they ignored him, and lo and behold, it took him like a minute or two, and he was comfortable in the environment, and he decided to come up to my aunt, and he decided to come up to my cousins, and he was in control of the situation and didn't feel forced into any interactions. And this sort of like situation helped him build his confidence and not stuff it down. Because if you brought a shy dog into such a situation and everyone was reaching towards them and they felt like they had no escape, this can make the situation much, much worse. So I feel like this is where management is like I said about 50 times before in this live, super important. It can help build your dog's confidence. It can, and it not just with situations like this, but it can also help your dog feel like you're in control of the situation, and that they're in control of the situation. It can help them feel that their needs are respected, so they can trust people to respect their needs. And this is with people in particular. But yeah, you wanted to add something?
No, I think this is a really great example, and I feel like this is exactly the example of a puppy that a lot of times people would try to socialize. And I feel like by trying to socialize your puppy and trying them to meet a lot of people and getting food from the people, I think you actually make it worse. Well, if you just like understand, like respect their boundaries and like manage their environment, even if that means gathering your family and telling them not to look at them, like look at the puppy, I think this not only builds confidence in your puppy, but also builds very like nice respect between you and your puppy, and the trust in from your puppy in you, because your puppy sees that you have their back. And I feel like with shy and insecure dogs, so many times the way I view management is in a way of like, I got your back, let me take care of that for you, you don't have to deal with that, I will take care of this for you.
Like in a sense that they don't have to deal with problems or insecurities that they have, because everything's taken care for them.
Because for example, if you're a shy puppy, obviously he wasn't extremely shy, but he was not confident with people and like people approaching him and going into his personal space. But if he was alone in that situation, he would find his ways to deal with it. Some puppies bolt, some puppies growl, some puppies snap, you know. So and I feel like this is the point where we say you have this clock, but you can turn the dial. It's like your responsibility to manage your puppy's environment in a way that they can build confidence. And I feel I own Ponyo's mom, Tuvalu, and she also wasn't she liked her personal space, and she was a bit insecure around people, but mostly in a way of like, I don't really need to interact with anybody and I need my space. And just by respecting that for her, which was again something that I had to accept because my other dog is the friendliest ever, so it was first on me to just accept this and then just go like, yeah, right, you just don't like that, it's not within you, but that doesn't mean you can't be around people and feel confident, and nobody will like go to you and like, you know, try to invade your space. And mostly I just, like you said, I just told people, please don't interact with her, she's not interested in that. And she's now normally around people, and she actually loves to interact with people. And it's just, I feel like if you know how to manage it in the beginning and have your dog's back, I think you can have really nice results, even with shy puppies. And their fears.
The same goes for Ponyo. Just yesterday, you were on the walk. You know, there was a man that walked and by us and said hi to us, and he went up by himself to say hi to the man, and they had a really lovely interaction, which I absolutely love to see.
Because he was never forced in interactions. His body language was always respected. And we're not speaking of really, really severe frightened puppies. We're speaking of, there's 2 border collies, and they normally my experience with these two dogs is just that they don't have the need to interact with strangers. They are really one person's dogs in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that just needs to be respected.
Yeah. So for me, socialization and management in this case is putting your puppy into situations where they have the opportunity to build their confidence,
Yeah.
and having their back in situations where you feel that they might be uncomfortable. Yeah, I do have another example. Do we have time for that?
I think so.
Another example for which I did with Ponyo was, I knew that sometimes shy dogs, they can feel a sense of discomfort when someone enters their home. And I still live with my parents, so my home definitely has a lot of visitors that I'm sometimes not in charge of because my parents invite them. So what I did was I built Ponyo's room, with my bedroom, in the way that if someone were to walk in, or a visitor or something, they would see me first and they would not see my puppy, which Ponyo was in a puppy pen behind a cupboard, which I felt was really great, because what he was learning, that even when someone enters the space, they don't enter his personal space, and that he has his safety on his side of the room. So even when someone would enter my room or our house, they would come to speak to me, and they would have to, for lack of a better term, go through me first before they had access to my puppy. And sometimes they simply did not have access to my puppy. So now Ponyo's has access to the whole house, and we are at the stage where someone can knock on my room, open the door, and he would not bat an eye. He knows that he has his safety and he's able to stay where he is and not have to interact or fight for his personal space with the visitor.
Yeah.
So which I absolutely love to see. We have these big windows by our terrace, and I just absolutely love it, because my grandparents will sometimes just walk in. So they'll walk into our terrace and like start talking to me loudly through the windows, and this, I know, for shy dogs can be very threatening when some, even for me, like last time I was in the kitchen and all of a sudden behind my back I hear, "Oh, hello." Whoa. So and I just love to see that when this happens. Ponyo just lies in the living room and he's just chilling, and I can go up to my visitors, I can interact with them, I can cook them a coffee or something, and I know that Ponyo feels safe and he's calm.
Yeah.
So he knows my grandparents, so obviously then I tell him to go say hi, and he's super happy to do it. But I just love this sense of safety that I was able to build for him. Through such a simple management technique, and this for me is management,
And you were thinking ahead.
Yeah,
because you could, based on his breed and his relatives, you could predict kind of where he would need help and where he would need to make sure that he's safe.
And I love this. This is another great example of how it's not the use of tools like long lines or crates, but how I used the space in my room to ensure he was comfortable and confident in the space that he finds himself in.
Yeah, I love this.
So this is how, a couple of examples of how management also helps build confidence in dogs and shy dogs.
Okay.
So to conclude everything we've been talking about, we gave you a couple of different examples, but all of this is to say that management is about controlling the environment to help your dog learn to make better choices and nurture a healthy mindset. Whether this is with mischief, like chewing on shoes or scratching on doors or going to say hi to different dogs, or if it's with shy dogs or adolescent dogs. What management helps you do is build on the world around your dog in a way that sets your dog up for success. I think the key for this is being 2 to 3 steps ahead of your dog.
Yeah, and I think sometimes this is a difficult thing to learn, and it's something
Yeah.
you just have to learn to think ahead. If needed, journal. If that will help you. If something starts coming up, if you suspect something could be coming up, write it down. Make a plan. Try to be ahead of your dog. Try to think ahead.
I think because this can really help you build a stronger relationship with your dog, where your dog can respect your needs and you can respect your dog's needs.
Yeah.
And
And it's much easier to prevent certain problems than it is to solve them afterwards when they're already there. And it's really easy to prevent a lot of them.
Yeah.
Actually.
I think when it comes to management, it's not forever. At least this would be my goal when raising my dogs, is that I rather use and rely on management in the beginning,
Yes.
so that my dog learns
the right
behaviors, so that I can let that management and that kind of strong routine that I had in place at the start, I can loosen it and still be able to trust my dog.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to the Q&A section, I wanted to give us the opportunity to invite everyone to join us for Black Friday.
Yeah.
We will post a link for our early sign up
early access to Black Friday deals
in the comments down below.
Post in the comments, yeah.
And yeah, you wanna talk a little bit about the courses we have, or should I go? I can go into it.
Okay, let's go.
With Chasing the Tail, what our focus is mainly to build an understanding of your dog and to teach our students how they can set their dogs up for success.
Yeah.
We've got so actually very similar to what we've kind of been. The idea of why we find management important is also the main idea in a lot of our courses.
Yeah.
So setting your dog up for success. And we have a couple of different courses. Some are smaller than others. We have our biggest course is called Fetching Manners, which is a 14-week long course that teaches you and your dog the different behaviors that you can benefit from in your relationship with your dog, and that allow you to trust your dog, such as the recall, loose leash walking, stuff like that. And then we have a shorter course that will help you build a stronger relationship with your dog.
Yeah, I love that one.
This one's a great one. And we did, in fact, release a brand new course that's agility related, that helps you build a solid start line stay and allows you to lead out. I think that's what it's called, at the start of the competition.
Yeah.
We also have a number of different courses in the works, being trick courses and a loose leash walking course that delves into much more detail into the whole behavior of teaching loose leash walking. These are coming out soon, and you will get a chance to
pre-order them for Black Friday.
Yeah. This you can find our courses in the Dogs for Motion Academy alongside to Yana's and Beata's courses as well. So have a look. Now, on to the Q&A section. We will pass the mic on to Eva and Anya. Future Eva and Anya at night. Let's go.
She wants to see. Look.
Oh.
Hello. Thank you for watching our live that we pre-recorded. And we're here to answer your questions now.
First of all, again, there was people from all over the world. I'll just read a couple of them out. Estonia, Canada, another Canada,
I think they're further up.
Romania, Florida, Iowa, France, Estonia. So it's absolutely always makes me so happy to see everyone tuning in. Okay, now onto the questions. Someone asks, my 4-month-old Great Dane pup grabs the leash as we go out of the door. I've stopped using the leash for now, but could giving him a toy to carry be a solution? Sometimes I might want him on a leash. So, will you begin to answer it, or
Yeah,
should I get into it?
Because my first question would be, does this happen only when going through the door, like an initial excitement because you're going out? Or is it the entire walk? I suppose the way you wrote it, that it could be just when you're going through the door, like an initial excitement.
Yeah.
We are going out, so from excitement, they grab the leash. So my solution here would be to just find an alternative behavior for this. For example, ask yourself what you do want when your puppy goes through the door, and for me, that would be just calmly walking through the door. That I would encourage by luring my puppy through the door. And I would, before that, also practice like clipping a leash on and rewarding for calmness, and then making a step, like opening the door and still rewarding for calmness, and then walking through the door. And just separately also teach and reward for loose leash walking without grabbing, chewing on the leash. And at the same time, I would teach a kind of drop it command, or I would just switch the leash for, if it happens, if your puppy grabs the leash, I would just switch it for a treat, for example, or a toy for that matter. But I feel like sometimes a treat keeps them calmer. And I feel like with excitement, when going out, there comes the leash pulling. And I feel like with food, sometimes it just keeps them a bit calmer in that sense.
Yeah. I would say that if this is happening frequently during your walks, I think taking a toy with you as an alternative and scheduling out certain times during the walk where you would play with your dog is also a great solution. So you channel this energy towards something that you like, which is tugging on a toy that you've specifically chosen for your dog, for example, as opposed to the leash. So your dog learns that there's a time and a place for this, and it's not on the leash while you're walking out of the door, but it's on the walk, for example, on a certain field or something, with a tug toy that you have for them.
Yeah, that's a good one as
well. Okay.
So this is not a question, but we can take that one.
Yeah. I thought this was a great point. Sarah says, to our point when we were talking about shy dogs, she says 100% this. My dogs don't like being in super busy places, so we manage the people around them to keep them happy and calm. This is a great point, and it was something that I had to learn with my second dog and the dogs that I was board and training in between. My first puppy, my very first dog, she was super friendly and was happy with the attention of everyone. But then with the other dogs that I raised, they were slightly more reserved, and I really had to learn to put boundaries into place to random strangers, which initially was hard for me, telling someone no. But with time, I learned that it's much more important to be there for my dog and to make sure that my dog feels safe in the environment that we're in and around people. So I now obviously have no problems telling people to leave my dog alone. And I feel that this is, something that should be expected of people, not to invade other dogs' personal space that they don't know. But sometimes you have to set up a boundary for people.
Yeah, that reminds me, a couple of years ago, I had a student that came into puppy school with a puppy husky.
Yeah.
the cutest thing ever. And and it was a puppy that did not really appreciate people in their
Oh,
space. And the owner had really issues with people coming up to him, and actually it got progressively worse.
Oh yeah.
And he was really like going away and like really trying to escape them. And she really needed to stand up for him.
Yeah.
So because obviously I think huskies are pretty cute puppies, so it was hard for people to understand this, but I think it's very important to be able to stand up for your puppy.
Yeah.
And you have to learn that as well. Yeah.
The good news is that normally you will have more people trying to pet a puppy than an adult dog. So I feel that with time, people invading your dog's personal space gets less and less, but there will still be occasions where you have to step in.
Right. And for example, with my puppies, I never let people pet them when they're in my lap, because when they're in my lap, they don't get the chance to say no because they're restricted. So I normally always say, like you've mentioned before with Ponyo, I'm like, no, but if a puppy comes to you,
right,
then you can interact, because if they want to interact, then they will come to you. If no, then that's a no from them. And I think that's to be respected.
Yeah. I want my dog to make that decision by themselves. This one?
Yeah. We'll try to read as many as possible questions, and we'll just tell you how we understand them.
Yeah. So Iona, I'm not exactly sure how to read your name. I'm sorry for that. But she says, my rescue dog is a shy one with some trauma in her puppyhood. She needed more than 2 years to be comfortable being petted, although she wanted to be. Still now, when she's 6, she's so emotional when petted and loved that she's scratching herself compulsively, unable to restrain herself. What can I do? Nothing in the environment is triggering her but excessive love that she wishes but can't manage. I think how I understand this is that your dog is searching for attention and for some kind of physical contact, but at the same time it makes her uncomfortable. Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind now reading this question is that sometimes kind of excessive joy and love and happiness and almost kind of like jumpy, a fidgety, jumpy behavior can also be a calming signal of, I'm not sure what to do with myself. I don't like this situation. I need help. Yeah, in a sense. Obviously, I don't know your dog, so I'm assuming from your description so take it with a grain of salt. But this is one of the first things that comes to mind. Oftentimes, overly happy behaviors aren't the case of, oh, I'm feeling so much love. Sometimes it could be that your dog is feeling overwhelmed and uncomfortable. So my pointers to you would just participate in activities with your dog that you see calm them down. So I really like the food scatter because sniffing has been proven to lower cortisol levels in dogs. And it gives them an outlet. It gives them something to do, and it gives them an opportunity not to go into an interaction that they otherwise feel uncomfortable in. Is there something else?
No, I was thinking about the same thing the second time I was reading this message, that so many times I feel like what we consider like a very happy, friendly dog can be calming signals in the way they're trying a situation a bit uncomfortable, but they don't really know how to get away from it. So then they jump up and like sometimes they kind of show their teeth in like a smiley way and they wag their tail and so could be completely that. But again, it's really difficult to just assume based on a comment. So we're also happy to help if you like write us a private message or anybody if you feel like you don't really want to publicly comment. Yeah, Jesus, that was a glitch. You're welcome to send us a private message or just write it down later on if you're watching back our live.
So I would. You wanted to add something? Take it away. So I thought now that we're discussing this, in I like to draw some parallels between human psychology and also dog training. And when it comes to people, one of the fear responses now that has been researched is also appeasement. So you
Mhm.
have the classic fight, flight, freeze, but now we've kind of started delving into appeasement as being one of them as well, which is basically a kind of overly friendliness.
Yeah.
And we as people tend to show this too. For example, if someone makes you uncomfortable, you will try to, in a sense, please them.
Yeah.
Which
Or
I-
if they're like mad at you, or
Yeah,
yeah.
I can sometimes see this in myself,
Yeah.
being like,
Same.
sorry,
Ah.
like in a kind of making yourself small and being like, oh, don't worry about me,
Yeah.
So, and I see sometimes parallels in dogs when something makes them a little bit uncomfortable, so they make themselves really small and they're all wiggly and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the case with your dog, but the description made me think of this first.
Yeah. That's good thinking. Okay, I think this one. That's a long comment, so I hope it's gonna fit. And just for, you can click on that one, so the question disappears as well. This one, yeah, first. Just for I think for the first question about the Great Dane puppy, the owner said that they went outside during the live and tried a toy, and it of course raised his energy level. So we'll try clip on leash and being calm at the door, which I think is nice. Let us know how it goes.
Food can help a lot.
Yeah. Okay, that one. So I think this comment got cut short, but
yeah, we will read it out. So Sylvia says, so good to insist on the importance of anticipation. This being said, even though I know Schnauzers well now and have some idea of the predispositions I'm likely to face, particularly with standard pepper and salt, every new puppy reserves surprises in my experience. In short, no way to anticipate everything with these dogs, who have complex reinforcers. Perhaps it would be interesting to mention the importance of also being able to detect very subtle signs, discomfort, tension, for example.
then
Do you want to go check on your phone if you can read the full comment? But yes, I will start answering this question while Anya sees if the rest of it is hidden somewhere. But thank you for this question, because I definitely can relate to it. I've raised
Can I? So the ending of this question was to implement management as early as possible in any situation.
Yeah. This is an absolutely amazing point, and I always like to say that with every single puppy teaches us something new. I've definitely learned a lot with every single dog I've raised, and they've been quite different, even though they come from the same breed. And I like to welcome the lessons that they teach me. But yes, like you said, there's absolutely no way that you could predict everything. I've had surprises with my first dog. I've had surprises with my second dog.
And you think you already know where you're getting your puppy and the parents and the line, and you have all that information, and then genetics is just
a lottery.
It's really not I was told genetics is not mathematics, and it's very true. And I feel like it's so important what you've mentioned about importance of being able to detect very subtle signs like discomfort and tension. And I feel like, because again, we can't predict everything with just getting a dog, even picking it from specific lines, or breed. I think observation is what is so important when you get your puppy, and trying to observe and get to know your puppy and who they are and how they behave. I myself have raised 3 litters so far, and I feel like with every single litter, I've learned about more of the things that I can see very early on. And I think it's been a very interesting journey. And with every single litter, I just learned that I know nothing, and that there's still so much more that I could see in those puppies. And yeah, but I love to observe puppies, and I think this is one of the most important things when getting to know your puppy. because that's the only way you can actually adapt to their training as well. And nobody will know your puppy better than you because you live with them a lot, like all the time. So
You do live with them a lot.
in
fact,
you live
probably
with
more
them.
than-
I was thinking, like, if you go and like you ask for advice, anybody else,
Yeah.
like they can't really know exactly what your puppy is like. So you will know your puppy best. So
Yeah. There was a point that I was going to make, and that is that I think it's very important, like you said, to look at the subtle signals to be able to start implementing management right away. To add to that point, I do think it's much easier to see these subtle signals if you've had experience with them before.
Yeah.
So I listed the example during our presentation of Ponyo not wanting to go into the car. This was something that I had experience with before, so it was very easy for me to see the signs. My other dog, sometimes she wouldn't want to go into the house after being outside on the walk, and she would stop in front of our doorstep and she's like, no. So every single time I had to, convince her. So this was something I had experience with, so I was able to see the subtle beginnings of a behavior like this forming and step in with management right away.
Yeah.
That being said, there obviously there will be things that you will not be able to predict, and I think this is normal. So don't be hard on yourself if something does end up manifesting throughout your dog's life. This is bound to happen, and you will learn with every new dog.
And also puppies change so much.
Yeah.
Like they change day in and day out, and even when they're a couple of months or maybe a year or maybe a year and a half or maybe two, when they're not puppies anymore at all, still some things can surprise you. So just important to stay on track and observe them all the time and try to soak in all the information that you get throughout the day, how they react, how they behave, what they like, what they don't like, and that's just the basics of it.
But I do think that this is the real power of management does come in when you're able to see and predict behaviors before they happen, and manage them so they can grow into something that you like, as opposed to something that's out of your control.
Right. Okay. I think that was our last question for now.
If you have any more questions, feel free to DM us or write us in private, or you can even comment under this post and we would be happy to answer them even after this live has ended. So
Can I have another question for you?
For me?
Yes, because I feel like I just thought of it. And I feel like you've mentioned it a couple of times for this live, and and I feel like it's such a common problem. For example, you let your dog in the garden and they go pee, and then they never want to come back.
Yes.
So what would be your management for that?
Yes. This is a good question. I feel if this is a behavior that has already really has been cemented throughout your dog's life.
No, it's a puppy. It's a puppy,
okay.
And it just started.
Okay, it's just started. Good question, because Ponyo has actually just started doing this. He doesn't want to go into my room because it's more fun being downstairs where my parents are, and my parents give him a lot of attention, so that's a lot of fun, as you can imagine. What I started doing is I noticed this, and I'm like, okay, Ponyo's not a puppy, and he's a year and a half, so he's a young dog, but still, this could happen with a puppy. And if it was a young puppy, what I would do, I like with the car, I would just not give them the chance to start building that behavior or that hesitancy. But what I also did is not just to kind of avoid the situation completely, is I started doing activities that are fun for Ponyo in my room. So if this was in the garden, I would, for example, let my dog out to pee and to do their business right before dinner. I would start preparing dinner in my kitchen, so my dog sees not my dinner, their dinner, or their dog food. I feed my dog raw. That's why I said in the kitchen. But if it's kibble, whatever, you prepare the kibble in their room, so your dog sees that you're preparing their dinner, and you open the door or whatever, let them out in the garden, and then call them back in. And most dogs are excited by the idea of getting food because it's rewarding for them, so they would be more than happy to come back inside. so with my first dog Kelly, that I said she sometimes doesn't want to come inside after a walk. If she knew that it was dinner time and you took her out for a walk, she would run back to the house, you know? So this is something I would start doing. It's building value for inside the house. And if you have a puppy that likes to be chased, I would use the long line.
Yeah.
So I would be, okay, I would not give you the opportunity to start running away from me and learn that running or being chased by me is fun, because that's not fun for me. It might be fun for my puppy, but definitely this is not a behavior I want.
Oh.
So I would put them on the long line, and then once they come in, I would have something really rewarding happen for them. This could be, for example, for Ponyo, this is a training session.
Mhm.
It could be fitness exercises from Jana's class. Fun fact. So this is what I do in my room now. And he finds it really rewarding. So he likes to go into my room because he knows fun things will happen there.
Good. I thought it was a common problem with, and it happens so quickly with puppies when they figure out that outside is more fun, and then they don't want to really come in anymore. Okay. I just thought we'd throw in another question because I feel like it might be beneficial. Right. Okay. So we'll wrap this up. And if you will have any, for everybody watching later on, just you can post comments. You can post questions in the comments and we will answer them. Oh, there's another question. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're not done yet. Right.
Donna asks, what if your 8-month-old wants to run from you and not come in? How long of a line and what material do you use?
I'm so passionate about long lines.
Yes, me too. I have this amazing one that I've just lent to you now. You can bring it.
I'll bring it, but you can describe it.
So I started using the long line with Ponyo because he liked to go really far out, on walks. He would go 30 meters far away from me, which I didn't like because I didn't see what he was dealing with, or if there was another dog, just around the corner on a footpath or something, or if there was people, or or if there was a bicycle or something. So I like to have him closer to me so I can see him. That's why I started using the long line on walks. And obviously I really like the long line for training the recall and things like this. So I ordered a Biothane long line that is 20 meters long. Let me translate that for anyone who might be watching us from the US. 20 meters is 20 meters in feet, right? It's 65 feet and 7 inches. So it's very long. I mean, some of our friends also have a 30-meter long line, which is even longer. But yeah, this is it. And it's when the long line is this long, I like that it's very thin, so it's not really heavy when the dog pulls it behind them. I absolutely love this material. It comes in a lot of different colors. And it's great because it doesn't get wet, it doesn't get tangled, it never gets wrapped up around the tree or anything. So I love Biothane for this.
Donna also said he wants to chew on the long line.
Also, Biothane is very durable. I think my older dog actually did try chewing through it once, but she didn't manage to. So
I would, however, like teach a drop it cue and just exchange it for a treat. Just for situations where because yes, I did experience puppies when they were put on long line that they would they would feel uncomfortable having something drag behind them. So definitely it takes them a little to get used to something dragging behind them. So definitely maybe take some time just in the garden or like in the park or somewhere where it's not too busy to just work on dropping the leash and getting a treat for it.
Also, I do sometimes, we like to clip the long line on a harness, just in case I have to, I don't know, stop my dog, or if he gets tangled in something that he doesn't, that there's no tension on the neck, but rather it's on the harness. So
sometimes it's easier when it's
clipped on their back. I feel like it's not so uncomfortable. So
maybe
this might be an easy solution, but if your dog still likes to chew on it, then
okay.
I think Iona sent another comment, but maybe we could address this.
We can do it privately as well.
Yeah. So we can send you a private message and delve deeper into your dog. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll send you a message afterwards.
So for today, thank you everyone for tuning in. We very much enjoyed today's session. We enjoyed planning it and talking about it as well. It's, like I said, a topic that I'm very passionate about. And before we part ways, as a final call to action, but everyone is very welcome to sign up for the early Black Friday deals, and we will post the link to that in the comments. So the deals start on Monday,
I think so. Next week.
Yeah, they're starting next week. So you have you have the opportunity to sign into that, and you'll have access to all of Jana's classes, Beata's classes, and also Chasing the Tails classes, which are great. Jana has some amazing conditioning courses. Beata has some great agility oriented courses, and we've got courses oriented towards raising your dog's confidence, training your dog,
building a better bond.
Yeah,
just better understanding your puppy. First couple of days with your puppy, because we also, I feel like one point that we maybe didn't make so much is that we like our dogs to have a lot of freedom in life, and freedom comes with well-established foundations, and those foundations come a lot from management.
Yeah,
right?
This is why I love management. Yeah, cool. We do also have one agility oriented course, which is helping people teach the start line stay. And we do have a number of fun courses coming up, which you can pre-order, such as a loose leash walking course and a number of trick courses. So we're excited about those, and we're excited for everyone to see them. So this is a great time to be tuning in to Dogs for Motion and everyone's courses that are on there. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, Anya.
Thank you
for planning this with me.
We would also love to know if there's anything else that you would love to learn from us about, or if there's any specific topic that you're interested about in dog training in general. We'd love to do that again, and we will definitely take your ideas into consideration. So also there was a couple of questions if you can rewatch this live, and yes, you can. It's going to stay on Dogs for Motion page as well as Chasing the Tail page, so you can just go back and rewatch it anytime.
And you can also rewatch the one we did with Beata and the one we did with Jana. So those are all up online, and you can go watch them. There was something else I was going to add, but not sure if I'll remember it. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. We will. Oh yes, this is what I was gonna say. That today we did talk mostly about preventative management, but management also comes in really handy when retraining behaviors. So this would definitely be another live that we could do. So if people are interested in something like this, let us know. Let us know what you liked about today, and if there's anything else that you'd like us to talk about. And with that, thank you everyone, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon.
Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.